depending on the time or maybe just your state of mind. This is Real Shame, a show where the two of us talk about our list of movie blind spots, aka our list of shame. Movies that we have not gotten around to seeing for one reason or another, maybe a good reason, but probably just a bad reason.
Yep.
Maybe we were just lazy. Who knows? But we are watching those movies now. Movies from whatever time period, could be any decade and come from any country or planet for that matter. Although I don't think there are any extraterrestrial movies, unfortunately.
Not yet, anyways.
Not yet. That day is coming. Trust me. All right. My name's Andy. And this week we're tackling a couple of movies from my list of shame. And Adam is going to tell you all about the movie that we are talking about today. Take it away.
Suzu is a shy high school student living in a rural village. For years, she's only been a shadow of herself, but when she enters You, a massive virtual world, she escapes into her online persona as Belle, a globally beloved singer. And Belle. That's from IMDb.
You はもう一つの現実。アズはもう一人のあなた。現実はやり直せない。でも、Youならやり直せる。さあ、もう一人のあなたを生きよう。さあ、新しい人生を始めよう。さあ、世界を変えよう。名前。
So this week we're doing to Mamoru Hosoda. I got his name wrong. I was saying it in my head. I still can't get it right. Mamoru Hosoda. I think his last name's Hosoda. Movies. Belle came out on physical media recently, and I feel like it was a big thing. And one of the podcasts I listened to did a deep dive on his movies, and I was interested in checking him out because we've heard of Studio Ghibli and we heard of Hideo Miyazaki and all that kind of stuff, and haven't really seen some other kind of Japanese animation directors' movies. So I figured this week would be a good week to dive into all that. Hosoda has done a bunch of movies that are seem to be really well critically reviewed and well liked. He did The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Summer Wars, which we might talk about a little bit later, Wolf Children, The Boy and the Beast, Minari, which actually got nominated for Academy Award, and then now Belle. So a little bit about him. He actually applied to work at Studio Ghibli and got a rejection letter from Hideo Miyazaki. He worked at Madhouse, where he actually did those first two critically acclaimed movies, which was Girl Leapt Through Time and Summer Wars. And then he kind of left that studio. I think I have 2011, left Madhouse 2011 to establish his own animation studio called Studio Shitsu, with another producer on there. So it's something new for us to dig into. I have not seen any of his movies before this week, and I wanted to dive into it. And I figured we do some anime movies here and there, and it's always good to kind of vary the kind of stuff we're watching. So, Andy, did you know anything about Belle before you watched it, and what did you think about Belle after seeing it?
I did not. I mean, I kind of like you. I remember when this came out recently, like it had like a steelbook and everything. And I remember Blu-ray.com doing a review on it, but I don't usually read those kinds of reviews if there's any inkling whatsoever that I might see the movie at some point. So I didn't read their review, but I think I did notice that it was, it was favorable, but and I did know, again, just kind of because I see things pop up every now and then. I mean, I knew that it was critically well received.
Yeah.
I knew that, and I knew that it was not a Studio Ghibli film, but I didn't know anything about the story or anything. And I purposely, I didn't want to look anything up. I don't like to do that. I mean, I like to go in as blind as possible when I watch these movies. So going into this, I had no clue what it was about whatsoever. I'd basically seen the Blu-ray or the steelbook cover,
Yep.
and I think that's about it. So watching it for the first time, I will say that I'm not quite sure about all the critical acclaim that it's gotten, because I didn't honestly like this movie that much. I didn't think that it was bad. I think it was, I wasn't like angry that I watched it.
Yeah.
But so it starts out, I think visually, I don't have any problems with like the animation or the visuals or those kinds of things. I think it's a neat idea because the world that the computer world is called like U. What is it?
Yeah, it's called U, and then their avatars are called as.
Yeah, so like the letter U is it's kind of like an online world. So you go in there, and so you have this young shy girl, Suzu, right? Is what you said. Bad, I can't remember anybody's name. Suzu is this young shy girl. She joins the world of U.
Yeah.
And she basically kind of finds her voice. She suddenly is this amazing singer and attracts a lot of attention. And then eventually, I guess they call him do they call him the Beast or the Dragon in the movie? I can't remember.
They flip between the two.
Okay, because when I was watching the movie, I kept thinking the whole time they called him the Beast. And then when the movie was over, I was kind of reading a little bit about it, and it was like Belle and the Dragon, and I was like, did they call it the Dragon? I don't even remember. So
no, I think they did both. I mean, because I don't think this is spoiling. I mean, we're obviously spoiling.
Yeah,
but they obviously draw parallels from Beauty and the Beast,
right? And so when he came in and they were calling him the Beast, and then they're like, oh, it's Belle, like Beauty, Belle. I was like, oh, okay, so this is like a, basically an anime kind of version of Beauty and the Beast. That's pretty cool, but it really wasn't like that. At least not to me. I mean, yes, it is kind of, but I don't know if I just expected it to be more like a Disney version of Beauty and the Beast or what. But I feel like the movie had a lot going on, and I wasn't really always satisfied with everything that was going on. I felt like it was really busy.
Yeah.
And when you finally do find out like who the Beast is, I feel like that goes way off like on a weird kind of thing. I didn't really like that part of the movie especially, but already kind of leading up to that, I felt like the movie was kind of all over the place. I mean, I feel like this is the kind of movie, and arguably maybe the movie we're going to talk about on Wednesday is a little bit similar. It has a lot jammed into it, and there's a lot of like story threads, and there's a lot of characters to kind of know things about. And to me, I didn't think that Belle did a really good job of making it all mesh seamlessly. Again, the whole kind of resolution as to who the Beast is when they find out who it is, and they kind of have to go and do something to protect, who the Beast is and everything. That part, it just left me cold. I don't know, but I didn't really like it. She's in like a choir group with like her mom's friend, because her mom is dead, with her mom's friends, so they're all older. And I like later on in the movie, they're like, oh, we know that you're Belle, because her identity is basically hidden. Yeah. But they know that she's Belle. And I'm like, so what does that mean exactly? Like, what does that do?
That's one of my biggest problems with this movie is they know that's her. Then they're like, let's go help her.
Yeah.
And then all they do is they show up in the room where she is, and it's like, what are you doing to help her?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like
I felt the same way. Yeah.
That's probably my biggest critique of the movie for me, is that feels weird. And and the movie's probably a little long because it feels like they try to. I feel like they try to. I know.
I hate to say it. I was waiting for it to end.
It feels like they were trying to expand the story that they were telling does not fit the length of the movie, and they were kind of grasping at straws some parts for me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it would have worked better as like a miniseries or something. Like, so they could jam all this stuff in there and really satisfactorily resolve all the little different threads. I honestly, I mean, I hate to say it, or maybe I don't hate to say it, but I was thinking that the Beast was going to be at least someone within their circle. Yeah. Like, it's going to be one of those guys, because there's like two boys, basically.
Yeah, there's like the canoe guy, and then there's the other guy.
I can't remember either one of their names, but basically those two guys, I'm okay with it not being one of those two guys, because that seems kind of obvious, but at least someone within their school. Yeah. But the turn that it takes, I mean, it's a dark turn. I'm not unhappy about that, but I just thought it was kind of bizarre. And I just wasn't really feeling it at that point. But there were some other things. Again, I feel like overall, the best way I can sum it up is I think this movie is just very busy. There's a lot going on. And for me, it just didn't all work together. So I didn't hate this movie. I didn't think it was terrible. Again, it's very well received, and a lot of people like it. So, great, but visually it was cool. But other than that, it was not that great to me. To me, what do I see?
I don't feel exactly the same way as you do. I found it really visually interesting, and to me, I mean, I'm not saying that you don't feel that way. I like the movie more than you do. I'm more favorable for the movie. In fact, because of this, what I've been watching is I watched another Hosoda movie because of that.
Okay.
I like the animation style. I like how visually appealing for me, that kind of makes me like the movie more than the story, than some of the faults in the story and stuff.
Yeah.
I saw it took me like when Belle got to the castle, I'm like, oh wait, this is like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, or they're borrowing a lot from Beauty and the Beast. It took me to that point.
Yeah.
And then when they're in the castle, there are glimpses of, depending on how familiar you are with the Disney version, like their dance is very similar to the dance that Belle and Beast do in that Disney, the 90s Disney, Beauty and the Beast. And so there's like little tributes and stuff like that on there that I kind of liked. I think the U is really interesting. I don't think they think it all the way through, because according to the movie, like the app scans your biometrics and it basically makes avatar based off your biometrics. But then you have this girl that becomes this beautiful girl, but then you have people that are like baby people or weird duck people. And it's like, what's wrong with their biometrics and all that kind of stuff? Like, it doesn't. I think the movie on Wednesday explains that better. Yeah. But it's kind of like, what's wrong with these people for them to get like to be a duck person or to be, you know what I mean, like cat person or all that kind of stuff. And I like the Guardians because you can definitely see, okay, this is the Gaston kind of character and stuff like that. For me, so I liked that version of it better. The movie does like I put like 10 minutes in, her mom dies. Like you find out her mom dies. It's like, whoa, this movie's not pulling any punches.
No.
So for me, the fact that the Beast is this boy that is living in this abusive household, and he's really just, you know, protecting his younger brother from being abused, like didn't feel too out of left field, because it's like, in the beginning, we learned that her mom.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it out of left field is the way that I felt about it. I don't know. I wanted it to be more, and this is more about what I wanted. I wanted it to be more somebody within their school, within their circles, somebody that you've seen before. But I understand why they did it. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I didn't like it, damn it.
So I mean, so overall I liked it. I thought the story was good and interesting. Like I don't think it's it's super inventive or that kind of stuff, or it's like elevating the material and stuff. I think it's good. I wish they kind of would fix some of those plot holes. Like, hey, if we're gonna have people that look non-human in we need to explain how they did that or why it's that way.
Maybe those people don't really look non-human.
Yeah.
They look non-human in real life.
And I wish they kind of explained a little bit better, like what her choir group was doing when they come to save her and stuff like that.
They're useless.
And all that kind of stuff. And, I feel like the stakes were there with her, like, really concerned about having to give up her anonymity and all that kind of stuff. But then wanting to do that, to give it up, to be able to help out the Beast and show him that she really cares and all that kind of stuff. Like, I thought that was kind of interesting. And I'm sure there's some Japanese cultural stuff in this movie that kind of goes over both of our heads because,
probably,
we're not well versed in that culture and all that kind of stuff. But I think overall, I mean, like I said, I like this movie and Wednesday's movie enough to watch more of his movies. So for me, it's definitely a lot of style over substance, but I'm okay with animation with that. And, I don't think it's amazing, mind-blowing movie, but I think it's solid and I enjoyed it. So that's where I kind of fall with it.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually read a few reviews that sounds like they're favorable on it, even though they do think that it has a little too much story or it doesn't always tie. But they're such fans of the world that it puts you in and the universe and the visuals, and I get it.
Yeah,
I'm just not there with them.
I was gonna say apparently this movie was like the third highest grossing Japanese movie in 2021. So it grossed, was at 6.5 billion yen in the box office. That's crazy.
I don't know how much that works out to in our dollars.
Yeah, me either.
Anytime you talk about billion,
it's a lot.
Like it's a lot. Yeah.
And also like the main theme that's heard is by this group called Millennium Parade. And in fact, one of the actresses or one of the singers in Millennium Parade voiced one of the characters. I was gonna say Peggy Sue. She voiced in there and stuff like that. So so that's kind of cool. And apparently, from what I read on the trivia, actually, there's not a whole lot of trivia with this. I guess because it's so new, is that he kind of wanted to do a musical, but musicals aren't really as popular of a thing in Japanese culture and stuff like that. So this is his way of kind of doing a musical, from what I read. So I thought, like I said, I think
he's got several songs in it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of songs, and they're not bad songs. I mean, they're not.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. So, what were the critics on this bad boy?
Yeah, so Leonard Maltin doesn't have any reviews.
He doesn't care
of this. Honestly, I don't even think I looked, but because I didn't expect to find one. But it's 95% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with 95% audience
there
score.
You go.
Yep.
All right. Well, on these Monday episodes, we always like to talk about what we've been watching. I kind of hinted at what I've been watching a little bit, so I'm going to toss it over to Andy. Why don't you talk about what you've been watching?
Okay. Once again, I feel like this was the theme from last week as well. I really haven't had a whole lot of time to watch anything, unfortunately. Need to correct that. But I did watch one thing. So I think it was 2 weeks ago is when we did, because, obviously we filmed these at different times and, whatever. But I believe it was 2 weeks ago that we did the piano. And we talked about how in that movie they put on like a play of Bluebeard.
Yep.
Because we like kind of the stuff that they did, the little effects and things that they did. So I watched a movie which is kind of like a sci-fi rendition of Bluebeard.
Interesting.
And I did not sit down to watch it because it was a sci-fi rendition of Bluebeard. I didn't even know what it was about, but it happened to be. Yeah, exactly. It happened to be Kismet. It was like a sci-fi rendition of Bluebeard, and we just been talking about Bluebeard. So I thought that was kind of cool. Unfortunately, I didn't really like the movie that much, but it's a movie called Elizabeth Harvest. Have you ever heard of this?
No, I have not.
Me neither, but it sounded interesting. It sounded cool. It honestly, I saw like some screenshots from it, and I got an Ex Machina vibe.
Okay.
And I think that's an apt comparison because I think that it is a little bit like Ex Machina. I don't think it's like a ripoff or anything like that. And the stories are not similar enough for it to be, accused of ripping off Ex Machina or vice versa, anything like that. I mean, again, it's more of a story like of Bluebeard. And I think for the first, 30 minutes or so, I think it's a pretty interesting movie. And it really, really, I was like, oh, where is this going? But then the rest of the movie was kind of a slog to get through. Unfortunately, it's just kind of... It's not nearly as interesting for the last hour. It's because it's about 90 minutes. For the last hour or so, I just was like, oh, okay. So I would say overall, it wasn't a complete waste of time. I think visually it's cool. I didn't write down the director's name, but he apparently in real life is kind of the partner because I don't think they've ever married, of Carla Gugino. And she's in like everything he does. Basically, they always pretty much work together. So a lot of the stuff, aside from stuff like Sin City, obviously, but they have been working together since I think the 90s, essentially. So pretty much everything that he does, she is a part of. And she is one of the lead actresses in this movie. I said his name was Charon when we talked about Belfast. Apparently it's Kieran. I don't know where I got Charon. Kieran Hines is one of the stars of the movie. So it's got some familiar faces in it. And again, some people love it, and more power to you. I thought it was okay overall. I was not really favorable on it, and I would not watch it again, but I wasn't sorry that I watched it. It's interesting. Again, if you know kind of the story of Bluebeard, it's basically kind of like a sci-fi rendition of Bluebeard. So that's what I have been watching.
It's called Elizabeth
Harvest. Harvest. I don't want to explain the title because that would give away some of the movie.
It's kind of like Soylent Green. It's people.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Spoiler.
So what have you been watching? I know, obviously you alluded to it, but what have you been watching?
So we're watching Hosoda movies this week, and just to spoil what we're gonna watch Wednesday, Summer Wars. I liked both movies, so I decided to watch one more of his movies. This one looked really cool. It's called The Boy and the Beast.
Mm-hmm. I've seen the poster for it.
The poster looks cool, and I think it actually has a little bit higher IMDb rating on it. For me, unfortunately, I didn't like it as much as the movies we're talking about this week. I was expecting more like fighting and more that kind of stuff from it, and it was really more dramatic than I wanted. So it might have been that I just had the wrong expectations going into it. but it's really interesting. It's really well drawn. It's really well realized and stuff like that. And basically, it's about a orphaned boy. He's kind of orphaned. I mean, he has a father that he's not really his mom dies. I guess this is a theme for
well, and so is the Beast, right? Because the Beast is in Belle. I mean, it's not the same, but it's like they're both called the Beast.
But it's like, and so like he kind of finds himself in this world, and under like the he's kind of like an apprentice to the Beast, which is like this who's trying to become not a guardian. I can't think of the titles, but anyways, it's an interesting story. I like how it is. I just expected like more action, and in the final battle we do get a lot of action, but I was expecting more like samurai and swordplay and stuff like that, and you get glimpses of it, and it's so cool. I just wanted so much more of it in it. So I again, not as favorable as I am for the other movies we're watching this week, but still like it. Still glad I watched it and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I've been watching The Boy and the Beast.
The Boy and the Beast. Every time you say the Beast, I think
the
of
Beast.
Yeah, I think of what's his name, Kevin McAvoy.
Kevin McAvoy. It's James McAvoy.
Yeah, or James McAvoy. Why don't I say Kevin? I think I do that all the time. James McAvoy saying that in Split and Glass and whatever those movies are called. All right. So when you watch this back, or when I watch it, you'll see me chuckle every time you say the Beast, because I hear his voice saying it in his Split persona.
That's right.
All right, so you've already kind of touched on it, but what did you decide to pair with Belle? Or what Hosoda movie did you decide to pair with Belle?
So I wanted to choose another Hosoda movie, and I heard a lot of people compare Belle to Summer Wars, and after watching Summer Wars, I can see why there was some comparisons.
I can too.
To the point where I was like, are we watching the same movie again? But I think this Summer Wars seems to be his most critically favored movie, or at least from what I heard going into it. So that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to grab the best Hosoda movie and compare it. And so I picked Summer Wars, for better or worse.
Cool.
So that's what we're going to watch on Wednesday. Nice. All right, guys. Well, that was everything. Belle and more, Hosoda more. I've got probably pronunciations wrong. I probably got facts wrong, all that kind of stuff. Please help correct me nicely in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. I'm a fan, so I have Wolf Children left to watch, and some of his other movies, The Girl Who Flew Through Time. So if you recommend those movies, you think I should check them out, let me know, and I will be sure to do that, and all that kind of stuff. And stay tuned on Wednesday when we find out who wins the Summer Wars. We'll see you soon, guys.